Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and we have a brand new week that just started. We are just over 100,000 diamonds on chapter 74-60, so we're almost into chapter 75. And we also did hit another milestone, player level or the level here at 1100. So we are 1,100 levels into AFK Arena. Now this has taken 6 years to complete, which is kind of crazy, almost bringing our combined combat rating up to that 10 trillion mark. So in today's video, I want to run through the formations that we're using on 74-60. There's a lot of questions about what we're using in here and how we're using them, different formations. So I want to run through what's working at the very end game within AFK Arena. And we're going to continue over the next couple weeks, pushing a lot more progression within the campaign. So breaking it down here, you'll also notice that on the enemy side, we're at about a 389 level deficiency. So not super high, but still doing incredibly well on making progression in here. And again, I want to break down the teams that we're using in here. Now, the first one, of course, we have Ulna running in here. When it comes to Challenger Store, Ulna is going to be the one you want to get out of there, probably followed by Orthos, just because Orthos still does have a general use. But Ulna will keep Demia alive. In turn, Demia will keep the entire team alive. Then you throw on the Captive Wings collection, the level 2 Captive Wings. She will keep the entire team alive. And when we look at the buffs in here, we do have right up in the top left, we have Jerome, or the very top, we do have Jerome, and then we have Lavatoon. So two very, very strong buffers in AFK Arena. And most of the formations are going to be run very similar to this because we only do have one damage dealer. Demia does a considerable amount of damage, but pretty much the awakened version of Belinda is going to be the damage dealer in here. We're going to get buffs from Jerome. We're going to get buffs from Lavatoon. And then, of course, they're not going to be able to get through that front line because we have Ulna with that cheat death, the 9 of 9 furniture. And we have Demia in there with kind of that cheat death that's going to keep everyone alive, allowing the ults right here. Now, you can also see up here that we do have the Treat Spectator. That is going to provide some of the crowd control in here, some of the buffs in here. And all of the beasts at this point are at level 18. And honestly, when you go through, and the reason why on the free-to-play account, I'm really focusing on building out and completing this with the beast, is it is imperative to unlock all of the skills and abilities when it comes to AFK Arena with these beasts in general. If you do not have them built, you're missing a big part. And you'll notice right here, guys, like Belinda goes to no HP at all. That is by design. That is how a formation like this actually works. Once she starts ulting, it goes through the ulting formation really fast. And then Jerome, of course, buffing her because she is a light bearer, buffing her much higher than normally would, burning it down pretty quick. And you'll notice in here, Demia was actually the damage dealer in here, almost 7 trillion damage. When you start scaling to a level like this, guys, the damage goes through the roof because they are so high combat rating wise. And as you can see, they have the engraving, they have all the stars like we were talking about earlier, but having that SP effect right there, 1.7 trillion. Like I said, the Treat Spectator right down here, I'm doing incredibly well, doing a lot of buffs. So team number 2 that we have in here is the old tried and true, guys. Now you'll notice that this is the Slumbering Seal team. Now, one thing to note is when it comes to a couple different heroes in here, this is a team that possesses a crazy amount of cheat death and kind of a delay. Now, the reason for that is the Slumbering Seal. Now, you'll notice within this formation, particularly this beast, the Slumbering Seal. Now, Slumbering Seal, unfortunately, doesn't work till you at least get level 9. That's where the damage starts coming in. But Slumbering Seal, I believe my seal itself is on level 34. We have really, really overbuilt the Slumbering Seal. But again, doing incredibly well. This is going to be your primary damage dealer here. Now, we are running Sheltier in here. The reason being you do get, I believe, 2 or even 3 cheat deaths with Sheltier, which again is super interesting to see. We do have a buffer right here, which is going to drop, of course, the 365, going to provide some energy in there. And then we have Lysander. Now, Lysander is a hero that will work at a very basic copy at Elite. When he enters battle, he actually buffs everyone based on the position that they have within the formation. And then Nox. So once you get Nox to the E60 with the engraving, Nox is incredibly, incredibly hard to kill. He will run all over this. And even earlier game, if you have Nox built up a little bit with the Slumbering Seal, he can actually evade pretty much everything on the battlefield, allowing the seal to do exactly what it does, maximizing the damage. and the seal and him together can actually win a lot of formations. Then, of course, we have the awakened version of Thorin, which is just again gonna die and resurrect and die and resurrect. All of this, and the biggest thing within this formation is time. You are trying to buy time, trying to buy ultimate abilities until the slumbering seal actually comes out here and does exactly what he does over and over and over again. It's kind of crazy. Again, you can see him kind of swimming around here in the bottom. He's throwing fish at everybody. He's going kind of crazy, even going right there. And Shaltir's running around. Thorin just keeps dying again, over and over and over again. But the seal just continues to do exactly what he does with the damage. And look at this right here. So 5 trillion, we have 2.6 trillion. Then the slumbering seal does 3.18 trillion damage. So when we think of even the last formation with that awakened version of Belinda, it wasn't even close to the damage we put in there, but Eclipse, Lysander's, even Thorin's damage, Sheltier doing a considerable amount. And unfortunately, Sheltier is actually one that you can't get an AFK arena for whatever reason. I don't know, contract or whatever. She is a hero that has never come to the garrison, which again is kind of interesting that she has never made it in there. But overall, very, very effective in a lot of the PvP modes and the campaign modes because again, she is one that can die multiple times and does work incredibly well. Now, team number 3, we do have Shamira, which campaign formations, it's incredibly strong. Now, this one is going to be the awakened version of Iran, and this is going to be major, major crowd control. So between the awakened version of Iran and then looking at Aethys right here, the crowd control in here is going to be pretty insane. Same with Villanelle up here, and then you have Aurelia as a really big booster, and then the awakened version of Shamira. So if anyone does die in here, they're going to stay alive. And then looking at the owl actually has that immunity circle that will be dropped onto the battlefield. But you'll notice Iran starts with the little tornadoes, and then it just gets bigger. And this is where, again, you can kind of clump everyone together with Iran. Then you can lock everyone down with Aethys with the cage that he has in here, and it just works in perfect harmony. This is where a lot of the heroes go together, kind of synchrony or kind of synchronize the crowd control, where regardless of the level or how deficient the levels are, if you have enough crowd control in campaign formations, if you have enough crowd control in like Cursed Realm, you can lock down teams in the entirety and look at 16.5 trillion damage in there, guys. That is insane, the amount of damage that some of these heroes are putting out. Then, of course, we have our Flutterplume Owl right up here. Again, not doing a lot of damage, but overall boosting up everything that we have, clumping everyone together. And then Iran, of course, just burning them down in the entirety. Now, team number 4, as we get in here, this is another one that has a little bit of RNG, but does possess quite a bit of crowd control. Now, also remember, when it comes to Envy and when it comes to the SP effect that we do have with Envy, each attribute on the enemy hero that is reduced by a debuff, the enemy will take increased damage from normal attacks for the entire battle. So think about the debuffs in here when you have Estreld in here, even when you have Amelia down here. This is one where a lot of players question why she's still in formations. Instant crowd control with energy regeneration. That is something that really doesn't get too old. And then we have Ivan in here for the shielding and the buffing on Envy. And then we have Hilduin in here for the survivability. We also have the damage boost up here with the awakened version of Estrelda, as well as the actual damage boost itself. You're taking Envy to an entire new height. Now you couple that with the Ice Crown right up here. So you have a multitude or multiple ways of crowd control, which of course is going to show up as the debuffs on these targets. And you can see Envy just goes absolutely crazy, doing 18 trillion damage in the matter of just a couple seconds. This is why Envy is still the absolute #1 best in slot within formations. Again, you stack a couple heroes in there that 1, survivability is going to work, 2, they're going to buff up Envy in the entirety. Then you're looking at an 18 trillion damage right there. Now, of course, the last one in the final formation, this is a tough one because this has a very, very big RNG factor. A lot of players question exactly how this works. So right here, we do have Khazard. Now, Khazard is a very old hero, but Khazard's signature item actually extends the duration that we have of crowd control. The crowd control in this one is going to come from a hero right back here. Mahira is going to cast Mesmerize. It is going to have the enemies fight themselves. Now, the way that this works, or how this kind of works, is we have the Shroom Spooter up here, which is going to do a taunt. Again, keeping these heroes together. And the big key to this is Liberta right here. Liberta will actually link a target to Mahira, giving Mahira more energy. The faster that Mahira can regenerate the energy that Liberta is giving her, the faster the ultimates are going to come. So in here again, this is about crowd control. When you have Mahira doing ults over and over and over again, that is where the mesmerize ability, again, the team is going to kill themselves out because they are going to be crowd controlled and attacking each other with normal attacks the entire time. So I'll show you kind of, again, how this one works. We'll slow this one down a little bit because this also has a huge RNG factor in here. Because if you get, see, if Mahira dies, this one and the Thorn Cheese are by far the two biggest ones that we have, period. Because if you go in here and Mahira dies early, it's game over. This has got to click, and it has to work in a very, very, very fast methodology. That is the reason why we have Mahira even right here with the Windbinder artifact. This is also the reason why on the free-to-play account I did get this, is you start with 300 energy points already. So we know Khazar's going to die the first time. Then you look at Lucilla and you look at Liberta together. Both of them in combination is going to work pretty well. And again, we also do have the wolves in here. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult to get through here to finish out the chapter. You can see the linking right there. But again, we need the mesmerize ability. We have to make sure that Mahira doesn't die off the bat. We know Khazard is going to die, but we have to make sure that Mahira doesn't. And again, when it comes to RNG, I would say, honestly, the Mahira formation we're looking at right here, and also the Thorn Cheese formation are really the two really, really big ones that have this massive RNG factor that we see here, where if something works out of sync or if something doesn't work correctly, you're going to go ahead and it's just going to be a defeat in here pretty much every time. They'll get to, and level deficiency makes a big difference because they'll get to the point where they're dying out pretty fast. But if you get hit, if you don't actually crowd control, if you don't lock them down, then it's game over. Even though we got 11 trillion damage right there, which is kind of crazy. This combination, it is really hard because when you look at the enemies you're fighting, Scrag doesn't like the crowd control. We're going to have additional ads in here from Misha and the Wolves. We're going to have additional ads in here from Baden. So it does make a really big difference. Again, coming right out of the gate and being able to crowd control. I'm hoping we can get, nope, my hero went down. This again is going to be a very, and you can see how slow it goes. It's kind of weird that when you do the auto battling, like it's almost like a slow motion thing in here when it comes to auto battling itself. And you can see Shuna goes down right there. Boom, a couple more links. Everyone just runs over Liberta and then it just starts again. But this is the one, and this is the formation itself. Again, RNG factor. I have run this on some of the chapters, some of the accounts. We've run this like 30, 40, 50 times. And then some of these we've ran a couple hundred times before it gets done. And it's almost like they got to move or really take a little bit of heat off of one hero. You can even see we do have the Banish up there as well, based on the collection that we're running in here. But this is a formation that does take, again, a pretty big RNG factor in here to get these guys down. And I'm hoping we're not going to have to run it too many times to actually be able to finish this one out in the entirety. I don't think that was. So let's try, guys, and we'll see if we can get this one done. All right, guys, so we tried it for a while. I'm going to let this RNG run. We are still stuck on the exact same stage. Like I said, when it comes to this Mahira comp, it's very similar to what we see with our Thorn Cheese. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get through the stage tonight, but I'm hoping when I let this run overnight that by tomorrow, we're going to be complete. We're going to be into the next stage. So again, guys, wanted to break down some of the team comps, knowing exactly where they're coming from, what we're seeing at a very high level, and hopefully, again, we're going to be in chapter 75 by the morning. But that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.